Now, if I wasn't cancelled before, I probably will be after this. The left likes to claim that we're a nation of immigrants. The truth is that from 1066 for about 900 years, that wasn't the case. In fact, when large groups of people came here before then, it was usually in the form of invasions. The Vikings and the Normans arrived here in pursuit of a better life in England's green and pleasant land. But the pursuit of a better life doesn't mean it was in the citizens' best interests already here. In 1066, historians reckon the armies numbered between 5,000 to 7,000 on each side. Well, folks, GB News has seen evidence of 6,000 migrants waiting near the Channel coast in northwest France as UK authorities brace for a surge in small boat crossings this very weekend. And in my view, this is, as Home Secretary Suella Braverman has suggested, in the face of, let's not forget, fierce left-wing hysteria, an invasion. The left argues that Brexit Britain has already failed because we have no longer free movement of people from the EU, whilst a whopping 5 million British people languish on out-of-work welfare. That's according to the Department of Work and Pensions. And for much too long in this country, in my view, big business has had a free lunch, able to pick and choose, like a pick and mix, from the EU labour market which migrant it fancies, foregoing the cost of upskilling and retraining British nationals. They cannot do that anymore. That's thanks to Brexit. And I tell you what, I, for one, rejoice at that news. Imagine it, right? 5 million people are inactive in the labour market. I think they ought to be our priority. It ought to be the British people that we seek to help and assist before we even think about aiding those who have precious little regard, frankly, for the laws of the land by brazenly waltzing over the border to get here, with some of them running off to get up to goodness only knows what. And this is all whilst Rishi Sunak ludicrously doles out £11 billion pursuing green dogma through renewable energy investments in development countries. I'd like to see British business dole out sums like £11 billion on a cause much more worthwhile and closer to home. The second chances of 5 million British citizens. And this is, of course, coming at a time when we are, rightly, commemorating our war dead and those injured in the quest to defend the values represented in our nation's flag. Are we doing enough for our veterans? I'm not convinced we are. We must ensure we're doing all we can for our people already here before considering economic migrants who fancy working in Britain. Ask yourself, what would those like Peter Grimes think, a distant relative of mine from County Durham? He signed himself up for the British Army to fight in the Great War, only to be tragically killed on the first day of the Battle of the Somme. Would he recognise the nation that he so selflessly sacrificed himself to defend? Today, we can only imagine Peter's sheer horror on that one single day. And I want this to be a nation worthy of Peter's death. Do you not? I want this to be a nation that recognises the plight of the British people. Because at a time when Arthur and Martha cannot afford to put the heating on, is it wise for our Prime Minister to flock alongside 400 private jets to Egypt to virtue signal with United Nations world leaders at COP or CON 27? I'm not convinced that it is, folks. It's about time our British politicians started to fight to defend the interests of the British people. We're not asking of them the same sacrifice that Peter Grimes offered, only that they prioritise us for once. Because I tell you what, to those in the House of Commons, you cannot dare grumble about the NHS, about schools, about accommodation, if you back open borders migration across the English Channel. Because ask yourself this, where are the hospitals? Where are the school places? And where are the homes to house those that you reckon we should be taking in once they cross the Channel in pursuit of a better life? They simply don't exist. Britain cannot afford to be the welfare wingman to everyone that wants to come here. So if you ask me, my clarion call today, it's time for a recalibration of the priorities of the British political class. Because I tell you now, if this Conservative government doesn't recognise that soon, then what's going to come down the line, this bounce in the polls for Richard Tice's Reform UK, it's going to go on like Tigger until it denies the Conservative Party the chance of forming a government for an entire generation.